Warning, the Central Indiana Sports Report has a policy that once we've said it, and we will not apologize for it. We sometimes might learn and grow from it, but the shows have all been edited. We allowed what we allowed. End of story. Of course, we will always try to get better every day. What you are listening to now is the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 306.1. 5 questions with Will Retherford. This week, Will talks a long time about the Pacers and Major League Baseball, and then at the end answers questions about the Fever, IndyCar, the maybe Dynasty, Panthers, maybe not, and even a little soccer. Before the podcast, Will and I discussed that starting August 1st, when we start our second official season of the Central Indiana Sports Report, his podcast will be limited to 30 minutes. So we said, hey, until then, let's just go. So here's an hour and 20 minutes of us talking sports. Again, if you want to jump ahead, we talked for the Pacers for a while, we talked baseball for a while, and then at the end, it's kind of a miscellaneous. So enjoy, please. It was a lot of fun. Will is getting really good at this. And there may be some adult words, although I think I caught them all in editing. But if you have children, maybe just be a little aware.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Well, what we've done for the last couple of weeks is ignore the rest of the sports world around here. But it's time to end that now that the NBA season ends, sadly. But what we're going to do first, Will, is ignore all the rest of the sports world and talk about the Pacers. For 2 of your 5 questions, although it's probably going to end up being like 20 questions by the time we're done.
Yeah.
Some of them with long answers, some of them with short, and we prioritize with the Pacers because that's the news. And, Will, as of right now, as of today, it is June 24th at 9:41 p.m. What are you taking away from Sunday's game? And 10 years from now, what do you think you will take away from Sunday's game?
Well, I think that 10 years from now, I'll go with that first. I think 10 years from now, you're going to take away that this was probably the start of it all. That, Haliburton going from the most overrated player to, one of America's sweethearts in the basketball world and being a major player at the NBA level and all, basically a consensus like all NBA player for whenever he's healthy for 4 or 5 years. I hope that this isn't the last that we get to talk about this Pacers team in the Eastern Conference Finals, in the finals, like competing for stuff like that. I can't imagine a world where it happens, but I mean, we see kind of how quickly the NBA flows. I don't know. Maybe we look back in 10 years and we say, damn, like that was the one that got away. That was the one that we should have had, and you would have liked to have gotten your finals win there. But I feel like there's too much faith right now in what Pritchard can do, what Haliburton can do, and he's healthy and on the floor. It's just sickening what happened as far as his injury and how it affected not only that game, but it's going to affect a year from now. It's kind of unfathomable that that's the position that he's in. To be completely honest with you, it doesn't really make sense. Like why? I don't know.
Let me tell you what's in my mind before you go on, because I thought this was interesting. And first of all, to be able to have a franchise where you haven't given up hope because your best player goes out is unbelievable. But I went into Sunday night thinking this, and I didn't say it out loud for obvious reasons. I just thought the only way this ends was with the championship. And then I remembered that we were Pacers fans, and that is the only way this ends for the Pacers. It was that way.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been so hard for us, Will.
I mean, I was on the camp during the game show, the game podcast and just saying, like, I don't understand why we're being, like, superstitious, why we're not being confident about that team. If Tyrese plays, that they're winning that game. There was just a look in his eye like he was going to go off. 9 points in 7 minutes, was feeling it from deep early, and when Tyrese is playing like that, he's just really, really hard to stop. Really hard to...
So at least we have an excuse, right? At least
I don't think it's an excuse. I mean, I think that the NBA world watched that game. And, I mean, I guess it's an excuse from the standpoint of you literally lost, two-time All-NBA player, a two-time All-Star. I mean, it's... I think if anything, it's one of those where you acknowledge it for what it is they lost, but what could have been is entirely different. I think if he's healthy, I mean, I think it's one of those where it's always going to be a what if. It's always going to be an excuse. It's always going to be just you would have liked to see what it looked like if he finishes that game. If they lose, okay, but any notion that he wasn't going to play or that it was a mistake for him playing is just a fallacy. He was playing in that game no matter what happened. It didn't matter. You would have had to... I don't even think that you could have locked him in a cage and he wouldn't have found a way to get out to not play in that game. I mean, it's Game 7 of the finals. He's worked his entire life, his entire professional career, collegiate career to get to that moment. Like, he's playing regardless. And, maybe I'm sure that the calf strain probably played a role in the injury, but maybe it didn't. Like, maybe he just tore his Achilles, and it would have happened whether he had a strained calf based on the movement that he gave or not. But it's a shame because I think that's just not the way it was supposed to go. It was a shame that you saw the pain in his face and then acknowledgement of what happened immediately. That he knew exactly what had happened, and they didn't have a chance of winning that game when he was gone. To see your hero fall on the sword, I think it's really, really difficult to come back and win like that. And even though they went into halftime with the lead, it did feel like OKC did not really play very well the first half, and they kind of let the Pacers stay in it. And if they started to play a little better, ultimately you knew what was going to happen.
Until T.J. McConnell kept our hopes up for a little while, right?
It was definitely exciting. He was a burst of energy, but pretty quickly into that third quarter, I knew this game was over. Even that little fake run, I just didn't think that.
So even the late Matherin run didn't give you even a little. We've done it so many times. It didn't give you that.
Their closer wasn't there. Their closer wasn't there. The guy that they needed to institute and go through a comeback victory of that fashion, he was not playing. And whether you want to say, you look at how many other guys were there in this postseason when this team needed a comeback, Tyrese Haliburton was the reason why. He was the ringleader behind it all. How many assists did Haliburton have in Game 1 in New York when Nesmith went in fuego from the three-point line? I mean, did Haliburton assist on every single one of those threes?
All of
them. So I just think that to not have your leader there and your comeback king was going to be really difficult to overcome that.
That said, Will, there was hope in that it was only one more half, right? There still was that when you're up a half. It can be done for one more half, but you were like, man, this is going to just take everything now. Maybe they'll ride this wave of Haliburton going down. Maybe this isn't all a lost day, and what a bad night.
I think I told Dad when they went into halftime, I said all they have to do is tie him in the second half now and they win a championship. And they played better in that fourth quarter. I think it was just the letdown. They just did not come out and play well, really on either side of the ball early in that third quarter. I think
Oklahoma City relented a little in the fourth quarter too. They knew they had it won.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it was pretty hard to watch and not think that this is over. That was just kind of how I viewed it. But
I know, but this Pacers team, the magic, the voodoo, whatever you call it, you just kept thinking maybe one more time, maybe.
They just weren't able to get it close enough. Like it was always one of those where they got it within 6 a few times, and it's just like, and then they go and give up a huge run, and then they go and give up 3 threes right off the bat, and it's pushed to 15 as quickly as it was 6 runs, and that's really difficult. And it was just the Thunder came out and won the game. I don't think the Pacers lost it. They turned the ball over. They were sloppy in that third quarter. But when you have your primary ball handler, who, I mean, really, if we're being honest, I mean, Nembhard and McConnell had kind of been turnover risks in that series anyway. I mean, they were both turning the ball over at a much higher clip than Haliburton obviously was. So, I mean, it just wasn't surprising. They played to what they are. They played like, I mean, Nembhard is an incredible two-way player, one of the best in the game, but, like, he's not a point guard. Like, he's not a Tyrese Haliburton level point guard, and neither is McConnell for everything that he is. It's just, when you remove such an alpha piece of your team in a situation like that, I just think it's tough to recover. I mean, there's a reason that backup quarterbacks don't usually come in and replace Pro Bowl level quarterbacks, all NFL honor quarterbacks, and take their team to the playoffs. It just doesn't happen. Because the drop off, even though McConnell and Nembhard are that much better than the rest, they're still that much worse than Haliburton is. And I think when you lose his production and lose his court vision, his ability to play defense in the gaps and stuff and create turnovers that way, that was just a really pivotal loss. I mean, you really think Rick Carlisle went in and game planned for Haliburton to not play after 5 minutes left to go in the first quarter? No, he didn't have it. I mean, he doesn't plan for that. Nobody did. I mean, it's just the unimaginable happened, and it just happened in the worst possible time.
You would think there wouldn't be a better team
exactly. Why would you? Why would you? Yeah. No, I mean, anybody can sit here and say, like, oh, well, why weren't they taking reps of Haliburton not being there? It's like, come on. Like, if you're Rick Carlisle, if you're that team, and and you could think about it in your head, like, oh, Tyrese Haliburton is only going to play 7 minutes of this game, they unanimously would have said, we lost. Like, I know that competitors aren't ever going to come out and just say that, but, like, in their head, their heart, they lost. It just wasn't coming back from that. You can't take your best player by far away and expect much success. And Siakam wasn't great. I mean, Siakam wasn't really great in Haliburton's absence. They were able to double Siakam and made it harder for him. You just had it just made put pressure on everyone else, and they're not able to handle that pressure the way Haliburton is. And that's what makes him different. That's what makes him a difference maker, and is why he's the best point guard in the league.
And speaking of Benedict Mathurin being really, really good down the stretch there, and we know how good of a scorer he is, as you've said all year, best pure scorer on this team. Is he now the chosen direction with Tyrese Haliburton clearly out for an entire season? Is he now the direction of the franchise, or is he still expendable?
I think it depends on what the return back for him is. I mean, if you're bringing up a few names that we've heard in the rumor mill, I think that he becomes expendable. But if that's not the direction you're going, then yeah, it's time for him to take the much larger role, and he's going to have the runway to do it. I mean, there's really nobody on the bench that's going to be challenging his minutes. I mean, he's going to have the ability to figure it out and learn. And
if there are people challenging for his minutes, there's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I mean, I guess you could view it this way: who's playing that well to where you have to question whether Mathurin's a starter, and if that's the case, then you feel a little differently. But you don't want it to be, well, Mathurin's playing bad, so we've got to look to try to find someone else that can fill that void. He's going to have the runway. Like I mean, he's going to be able to experiment. I don't know if they're necessarily going to do it at the point. I think Nembhard, for everything he is, I think he's probably a little better in that two role or 1B point guard role where he's not the primary ball handler, but maybe he can fill in that void for a year. I'm not quite sure. I don't. That's to me where you're going to see what does this team do as far as in the offseason move. Did they bring in a seasoned point guard who can kind of run the show, and then you've got Matherin and Nembhard kind of. You've got Matherin back in that 6-man role again, and he thrives there, and he plays 30 minutes a game even as a 6-man. To me, if I was this team and you don't go make a big splash move, I would probably move Nembhard to the point and let him figure it out and get more comfortable running the show from there. And you bring Matherin in as your 2, and you still have Nesmith as your 3. You still have Siakam as your 4, and then, Turner probably as your 5. So
a lot of options, a lot of ways to go for Kevin Pritchard, who I think has earned our trust that he's going to do what's best next, right? After a very brief technical difficulty.
Yeah, I think that he's more than earned it at this point. He's one of the better executives in the league. To me, I feel like I don't see a situation where they rebuild. I think that if they keep the team as is, they're still a playoff team, probably a 5-6 seed and somewhere in that range.
You could see them overachieving as well and being a 3 seed or a 2 seed and winning a first round series. They're just not winning a championship unless everything fell completely.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't think there's any situation where they're a finals team, but boy, they could be a Eastern Conference Finals if everything went the way they wanted it to.
They could have a better record than they could have a better record than this year, considering how bad of a start they got off to.
I think it's definitely within reason. You don't expect Siakam is showing no signs of slowing down. Nesmith is going to still be who he is. I think Nembhard's only going to get better with more time. I think that
more minutes for McConnell, maybe.
If they don't bring in a point guard, I think McConnell might be the starting point guard, to be honest with you. I could definitely see it. And they choose to bring. I still don't necessarily see a situation where Walker probably starts just with I don't see them. They're not going to put. Wrong. They're not going to put Nesmith or Siakam on the bench for.
No, we're going to put him at the 3.
And then you move Nesmith to the 2. I guess.
Yeah. Or Matherin at the 2, or however you want to do that.
I personally like the Nembhard, Matherin, Nesmith 1, 2, 3 probably a little better than I like the other combinations, but you hope that Walker can figure it out. He showed signs in the regular season that he was the player that we kind of. I was not high on him. You've been high on him. That he is the player that could potentially be a major key part of this franchise for years to come. You're going to have to. But I don't think that you saw. There was no glimpse to me this year that he is a starter in the minutes that he played. He needs to definitely.
There's a glimpse to me that with another summer of work, he's a starter.
You hope so. Sure. You hope so. I think if Walker starts, it's not game 1. Walker may start game 20. Game 15, perhaps. I think when you see him establish himself a little bit more in that lineup, I don't see a situation where he starts game 1 because I just don't think that you're going to see him be able to prove that he can unseat Matherin for that role yet. It could happen. It's definitely within the realm of possibility. Just not yet is how I kind of view it. I think that Walker is your 6th guy probably right now, and then McConnell's probably your 7th off the bench. And when you're getting to 6 and 7, I think those guys play a lot. Your 6-man probably maybe gets 5 more minutes a game than your 7, but it's not like there's a huge difference between the two. I like that more. I think
Obi is still part of this too.
See, I think Obi is. They're going to have to probably make a move somewhere. I would be hard-pressed to see them just completely say, we're not changing anything. I don't know where that is. I don't know. I feel like there's a splash play coming. They're going to do something. There's too much smoke around this team as far as them making a move for it to just not be kind of true. For there not to be some.
Let me ask you this question as an appendix to that question then.
Okay.
If you could have the best trade in the world fall in your lap, it would be
Giannis.
Good one.
Giannis. I think so. I think of the rumor that we've heard I think Giannis one is probably a little bit more reasonable. I think
Yeah.
that
Not
the
many teams have much more to give back than the Pacers do. That's for sure.
it feels, I mean, he talks about not wanting the state income tax, but when you break down the economics of living in Indianapolis with the state income tax, he probably still is making more than him living in Florida. I mean, Florida finds its way to tax you. Let's not get that twisted.
Yeah.
It's not, their property taxes are more, everything's more. He's going to, like, that difference to me is negligible, even though he said that economics are going to play a role. But I think the Pacers have more to give up than the Heat do. The Pacers have more, like, win now or be a playoff team now and more draft capital than I think the Heat do at this moment. I mean, other than Bam and Hero, and I know that, they're high on Khalil Ware and Jaime Jaquez, but, like, I'm taking Ben Matherin probably over everyone except Hero, maybe Bam.
I think Matherin's future way over Hero is one dimensional. Doesn't really move the needle. Matherin has a chance to.
So I think the Pacers just have more to give. If it comes down to a bidding war and the Pacers really want Giannis, I think that they'll ultimately win the bidding war, and I think that would be the best move because I think that move in of itself keeps this team in title talk. I think if Giannis is a Pacer, it keeps them in title talk because you saw what he carried that Bucks team. That team outside of Giannis had zero business being a 5 seed. Zero business being a 5 seed at all. He is the only reason that they were there. And why can't he do that? The Pacers are going to have a better supporting cast than the Bucks did. A way better supporting cast. So to me, it feels like if that's the direction that Pritchard wants to go and that's the big splash play, then I think that they have the ammunition to get the job done. And I think they have the ammunition to potentially retool for a finals run. And then you get Haliburton with Giannis, which would be just, I was not high on it in the beginning when that conversation started, but the more I've thought about it, I think it could be a match made in heaven.
All right, well, we're going to do two baseball questions since that's one of your passions, and it's now officially baseball season in my mind.
Yes.
That's how it always works with me.
Yes.
Baseball season begins right now. And then we're going to do, I wouldn't say lightning round, because we're going to give you a paragraph or two to talk about some important things that have happened and some important things coming up in central Indiana and around the sports world. So here we go with the baseball, Will. And who is winning that National League Central?
I still think it's the Brewers. I still think it's the
Answer.
Brewers. That division's become real fun, though. That division has become really good, kind of out of nowhere. It was definitely talked about at the beginning of the year. We were talking about, well, God, somebody's got to win the Central. Who's it going to be? And all of a sudden, you've got 4 teams above 500, and they've only each played the Pirates, I think, 1 or 2 series. So it's not like they've, just beaten up on the Pirates, and you've got one awful team in the division. But that team also has, Paul Skeens and Mitch Keller and a pitching staff that is formidable.
More than that.
I think that they're the team I trust the most. Like, I like the Cubs a lot as a team. I obviously don't like the organization. I like the way they're put together, though. It's a well put together baseball club. They've got the star power. They've got the heavy hitters. Like, they can definitely make a run. But I'm still not sure what they do with Kyle Tucker, and that's why I don't trust them. Because I don't think that there's any situation where they trade Kyle Tucker and they get better for what he's brought as an offensive player and as a Gold Glove defender in that capacity as well, and a great base runner. I think the Cubs pitching staff is a little vulnerable without Suzuki. Steele's absence is huge because they really did have a good 1-2 punch there. I just think that I don't know. That Brewers team is just sneaky good. They play small ball. They're complimentary. They kind of have everything put together a little bit. Freddie Peralta's still good. That rookie's made 2 starts. He's given up 2 runs. He's, something else. Minorowski. I don't even know how you pronounce his last name. What? I'm not saying the Reds. The Reds are not winning the division. It's not happening.
William. The Red Legs are coming, my man.
No, they're not. They're not.
Staff, and you're starting to see some consistent hitting day to day. And right now they're in the 11th with the Yankees again.
De La Cruz and Friedel are going to have to be phenomenal for them to do this. That lineup outside of that is shaky at best. Those are their 2 best players.
Probably Benson's done some good things. Matt McClain still struggling, but he hits the ball hard enough to know.
He does. He hits the ball hard.
When he gets there. Tyler Stevenson's been pretty good.
for a
Stop
catching.
it! Stop it! Tyler Stevenson has been no Tyler. I'm
Okay,
not.
how about
I'll
better
give
than I
you.
expected?
Okay, sure, but your expectations had to have been low because he's
Pretty
been
low.
pretty average, pretty mid, pretty average to
Very
below
mid.
average.
Very mid.
He's the fourth best hitting catcher in the division. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
De La Cruz and Friedel are good. De La Cruz in of itself is enough to potentially be a threat to win a division almost by himself. I just don't think that they have the horses to win the division this year.
The bats have been really good for 2 straight weeks now. And that
They're gonna
pitching,
have to. They're gonna have to show me more. They're just gonna have to show me. Like they're gonna have to continuously stack these weeks up. Their run differential's good. I get all of those teams have good run differentials. The Cardinals, Cubs, Brewers, and Reds. I mean, they're all plus 40 run differential. So it's not a fluke that they're good. Like they're like the numbers suggest they're all pretty decent ball clubs. So
your gut still tells you that's the Brewers.
it still tells me the Brewers because I just think they have the most things that I can trust about them. They are the least inconsistent.
Even the glimpses we've seen of the Cardinals and Reds, you still think the Brewers.
I mean, I think the Cardinals have a chance. I'm a diehard Cardinals fan. Of course, I'm not going to go on here and just be like Cardinals this, Cardinals that. I've got to be somewhat reasonable.
No, you say what you think's going to happen.
I think the Cardinals can. I would say that of those teams, I still think the Reds. I think in the order of who I trust to win that division, it is Brewers, Cardinals, Reds, or Cubs and Reds. I think in that order.
Oh.
I trust the Cubs.
Even with a 5.5 game lead, huh?
It's 3.5 right now. I mean,
right. Even with a 3.5 game lead.
It's June 24th. There's so much time. They are a PCA injury away from what's going on. Like we're that close. The Cardinals have an injury. Is there anybody on the team that is that game changing that they can't be without them? I don't think so. They're all pretty plug and place. I mean, they're out Herrera, who's been one of the best DHs in the National League, and their offense has still been more than okay since his absence. Well, I mean, but if the Reds lose De La Cruz for any amount of time, it's over. I mean, they have no chance of winning the division.
You were out on the Cardinals front office. Still feel the same?
I mean, so far, I guess you have to say that you have to trust them a little bit because they've been good. I don't like pitching to contact. I think pitching to contact, all you need is just a ball to find holes. So I don't like that being what my pitching staff and roster is consisted of.
I get that.
Now they have the defense to pitch to contact. Like they are close to Gold Glove defense basically around the entire diamond, especially in the infield, which is where most of your ground balls are going to be played. I mean, Wilson Contreras, he's come in and been the second best defensive run save first baseman in the league. He transitioned from catching to first base seamlessly. You've got Donovan, who's won a Gold Glove. You've got Arenado, who's a platinum 10-time Gold Glove. I mean, you're talking Brooks Robinson, Mike Schmidt is the only two in his company. And then Mason Wynn's going to win a Gold Glove at some point. So, I mean, they have the defense to justify being a pitch to contact, but pitching to contact loses playoff games, because you just don't have enough swing and miss in your rotation. They don't really have swing and miss in the bullpen for the same part too. That's why I would not trust them, is because what is the batting average of bat balls in play? What is expected, average of opponents against this team? Are they getting lucky? That to me is the factor that I find shaky about this Cardinals team. Everything else I think is legit. I think their offense is consistently good enough to put runs up. And I think that their defense is always going to be there. And their base running's struggled a little bit the past couple weeks, but it's not atrocious either. So pitching is, to me, their issue. And I think that's probably true with the Cubs, too. I think the Cubs are a really good defensive team. You've got Nico, you've got Dansby, you've got PCA, Kyle Tucker. I mean, Suzuki's probably your only defensive liability. But is their pitching staff good enough to do it? I don't think so. That's why I'm out on them. I think the Brewers probably have the best pitching staff remaining as far as proven talent in their pitching staff. I think the Reds with Burns, and you've got Hunter Green and Abbott, like that's super formidable. Lodolo's shaky. He's very he's very hit or miss. Like I trust Abbott, Green coming out. I mean, Burns pitched well. It's his first start. He gave up a 3-run home run. Like it is what it is, basically. mean, he's not going to even take a decision because it's gone to extras. I mean, I think that the Brewers 1-2-3 and the Reds 1-2-3 is the same as far as how you trust that pitching staff. And then I just trust the Brewers offense more. I think they're a little bit more consistent. I think that they have a little better, not coaching because Tito's obviously so good. I don't know. I think that it's one of those where they've done it. They have a winning pedigree, and I think that just continues.
All right, well, three things. Number one, the Reds are about to win this game in the bottom of the 11th. Number two, I wanted to ask you a two-part question here because of number three, which is that we've officially, on the Central Indiana Sports Report, adopted the National League Central as our official division,
Yes.
and that the Cubs, Reds, and Cardinals are our three home teams. So that's
Yes.
what we've decided. You know, especially
Yes.
since the Cardinals can be seen in Central Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
and they've always been able to be heard in Central Indiana.
Yes.
And we know there are a lot of
Absolutely.
fans out there, including you and your dad. So
Yes.
that
Yeah.
leads me to that. All right, part two of Major League Baseball is a rumor that I heard, and that is that you are not happy with the All-Star voting.
I'm not happy with the All-Star voting. I think the All-Star voting is kind of a load of shit, to be honest with you, because I think that there are deserving players that are just not high enough on this list. He's my favorite player in baseball altogether. He's my favorite Cardinal of my lifetime. I love the way he plays. Like, Brendan Donovan should not be the fifth in All-Star voting at second base. Tommy Edman, Nico Horner, Jeff McNeil should not be over Brendan Donovan as far as what Donovan has shown and put on his stats and paper this season. It's this fan voting, and I get every team has to get a player in, so he seems like he's probably going to be the Cardinals pick based on how he's played, but like, it's just like Tommy Edman is by far and away the worst second baseman on this list. I mean, between the top five in voting are Ketel Marte, Tommy Edman, Nico Horner, Jeff McNeil, Brendan Donovan. It's like Edman should not even be on that list. Like, he's not anywhere in that caliber of the others as far as what they bring to the table, what the their WAR is, this, that, and the other. I mean, it's just a shame, and I have a huge issue with it. Ellie De La Cruz should not be the third best, should not be third in the shortstop rankings. Like, he has been better than Francisco Lindor. He's been better than Mookie Betts. Like, it's just not even.
The names,
it's just
though.
silly.
Come on.
But
it's the celebration of baseball. It's the biggest names, and it kind of should be. And then the managers get to pick the other players who deserve the role, and then they get to become big enough stars to get the votes themselves. And that's the way it's always worked.
You hope so. It's just to me, I don't know. It's just
you put a ballot in front of me, and I'm a Reds fan, so I'd probably vote for De La Cruz. But I completely get voting for the other two. I completely get it.
But like, so why it's just like, why does just this year? Like, I understand pedigree and like what they've brought in their career, but like Ellie De La Cruz has been phenomenal this year. Like, his numbers are better than the other two. So how is he not somebody that? How is he not in that situation where he is leading? I mean, he's a million votes short of Lindor.
Maybe it's just because he just let a 2-1 pitch go right down the center of the plate and didn't swing with a runner on second and nobody out.
There is some truth to that.
He's beating that out, and there you go. The Reds are going to win this game for sure. Will first and third, nobody out, down a run with De La Cruz the winning run. I like those odds with nobody out.
Yep. I think that's
the
probably
old Reds
true.
Wouldn't have though. I think that's the difference. I finally feel confident that they're going to come through in a situation like this. That's how I feel different anyway. We need to move on. Any others that we should be watching for when it comes to coaches or the vote that top of your mind?
I mean, James Wood, he's ninth in the outfield. He is on pace to average 118 RBIs, which would be the Nationals franchise record. He is one of
He'll be an all-star.
C.J. Abrams is on that team too.
They'll both be all-stars. They'll both be chosen.
I don't know. We'll see. I guess we'll just have to see kind of who gets. Maybe this is a better of who gets snubbed when it's all said and done, and the votes I mean, like you said, they matter, they don't matter. I mean, it's this, that, and the other. It's kind of a popularity contest with the fans, but I just don't like the visual when great players, regardless of where they're at, don't get the recognition that they ultimately deserve. That's what I don't like in baseball, because there's so many unsung heroes that are just as good, if not better, than your favorite player, and they just get talked. They get no discussion about them at all.
Well, game time, winning run on second, nobody out, and that winning run is Yali De La Cruz. All right,
Yeah,
let's
I mean
move on
that's
to it's not lightning round, what do you want to call it? The light rain round or
yes.
something? Because we'll get into as long as you want it, but I'm going to just ask you a few questions. We're not going to answer as long as the last questions there, but answer as long as you feel like you need to. Just keep it a
Okay,
little shorter. You see what
okay,
I'm saying?
yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, let's start with the Fever, who are in Seattle tonight. Last night, Will, as of right now, and your thoughts on the slow start with Caitlin, and are you less convinced that they're going to win the championship?
I'm definitely less convinced. I don't think they've come out and looked great, to be honest with you. They've and her injury definitely played a role in that. I think that it's tough but like that game in Golden State, they just kind of just pissed away. I mean, for a lack of, but they just did not play well down the stretch. They've lost close games. I find it a little concerning that they're losing these close games. Because like that is the sign of a team that is maturing, a team that went to the playoffs last year, that is ready to make their run, and it's like they're losing these 1-2 point games. They're just not hitting free throws. They're taking poor shots down the stretch, and that to me is something that has to be watched, because it's not like, I mean, we sit and talk about the WNBA like it's it's a popularity contest, and if you're not Caitlin Clark, you don't matter. But these women are great basketball players. I mean, it's not like that we're sitting here talking about some scrubs. Like it's a bunch of the Fever are a professional team playing against high school girls. But if you don't perform and don't hit shots and you don't play good basketball down the stretch, these are professional basketball players that will beat you. And so far, that's what's happening with the.
Well, did Alex Palou officially clinch the IndyCar championship on Sunday, or had he already done that?
I think Kirkwood's run had probably pushed a little bit into maybe questioning whether Palou had the runway, but it's awfully hard to beat him on road courses. It's just so difficult, even when he's not necessarily right there at the lead.
And he wasn't this week.
No, and
It was
he
a
just kind of,
strategy win.
it just is one of those where he just kind of stalks you, and he's just a tiger sitting in the woods, just stalking its prey, waiting for
That's
a
what he
slip
did.
up and a weakness, and that's just what he does. He's a tiger, he's a
What he
lion,
did.
he's whatever he wants to be. I
Two
think
cars
that
in one move, Will, and that was the whole race right there.
this week, yes, I think this past week solidified he has won, and he's won both the 500, and he will win the season series, and he is so good, so good. The fact that there's only been 2 people that have won a race, and we are 9 races into this season, is ridiculous as well.
And how great is IndyCar?
It's electric. It's the best racing series in the world. It's the most entertaining. It's the most skilled. It's everything. Whatever you say, whatever you want to say, it is better than Formula One. It's better than NASCAR. It's better than rally car. It's better than drag racing. It's just so fun and electric. These drivers are so skilled. The courses and tracks are a character all of them their own. They play a role every week. The strategy's great. It's never been a better time to be an IndyCar fan than right now.
To put this into context, the USA soccer team is 3-0 in the Gold Cup. Last week, the answer was clearly 10, Will, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of an embarrassment is this USA soccer team?
I mean, I'm so embarrassed that I have not watched one game. So I don't. Honestly, I could care less about soccer. I
But
watch the World Cup.
I know, Will, but they should make us care a little, right? They should be
No.
good enough by now to make us care a little bit.
But the problem is they've alienated their best player in Pulisic. They've got him on the ropes as far as pissing him
Or
off.
is he a prima donna?
He's the best player on the team. He can afford to be a prima donna. He can afford to be whatever. I mean, he's the best American.
He doesn't get to be above the team good. You understand that there are players who are above the team good, Will. We all get that. He is not that good.
He's the best
He
player
doesn't
on the
get to
team
call his
since
shot.
Landon Donovan.
So what? He's not calling your shot good. He needs to be there when his team needs him.
Well, then USA Soccer is just never going to catch up with the rest of the world. The rest of the world had 40-year head start.
But they should make us care at least a little bit.
the United States just doesn't care about soccer. Like, societally, it's a societal, they just do not really care about the game. It's big in large urban cities. Basically, you go to any rural community, they don't care. They don't even know. Leo Messi could walk into North Webster, Indiana tomorrow, and he'd maybe get recognized by 4 or 5 people. I mean, that's what we're talking about. Like it's just nobody cares. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm not saying it's some
Fair
awful
enough.
game.
No,
It's just
fair enough.
it's
I get it. There are a lot of reasons not to care.
And part of the reason is there's never the media pressure to be better. Like, because the media doesn't really care either. Like, they would much rather talk about the NBA offseason or the NFL offseason than critique USA soccer. Like,
they have so many guys at the high levels of Europe now that they should be better by now. That's all I'm saying.
It's a different game. The national game's different than over there, overseas.
I get it. I'm just saying. Hey, thoughts on the Kevin Durant trade?
I don't know who won that trade or not. Every time I look at it, I feel a different way. It's one of those where it's like the blind leading the blind. I don't really think it helps the Rockets be that much better.
Oh, but it could. If it
could.
fits right with Ime at the controls, and the Reds just beat the Yankees. Ime at the controls, and you kind of trust them a little bit, right?
I think that they're still young enough that they could have a slip up. Like, it's not like Durant's the...
This could ruin the growth of Eamon Thompson. It could go wrong in 1,000 different ways, but I'm talking about the what if everything goes right under a coach who can do that.
If everything goes right, they win the championship. Like, they were the 2 seed this year without Kevin Durant, who's going to give you 27 a game, and
they got rid of a guy in Jalen Green who didn't quite fit, who would be a better fit at another place. Van Vliet's much better in control of that offense. There were a lot of good reasons to like it for both teams, but if it slows down the growth of Eamon Thompson at all, I think you just don't do it.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think it's one of those trades where, if they don't win the finals, it was a mistake. Like, that's pretty much, I think, what it is. It's one of those where if it just does it the same way that every trade really with Durant has been in his career.
Been mistakes. Even the Warriors one was a mistake for them.
I think if the Warriors could go back and redo it, they'd never have done it. But
exactly.
Obviously, they won a couple finals. Like, it's tough to really argue against it. But
right.
I mean, Brooklyn was a colossal disaster. Phoenix was a colossal disaster. This just has, like, did they give up a ton? No. Like, it's not like what they gave up is irreplaceable. It's just the standpoint
there's only one ball. And Curry, Green, and Thompson were good enough to build a championship around. I don't know why they had to do it. And it made basketball worse for about 5 years. Yep. And I like the Warriors. I like Curry. Growing up, Chris Mullin's teams were my second favorite team. I love the way the Warriors played. I even kind of like Draymond Green in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But they made basketball bad, the NBA bad for about 5 years because they were just so much better than everybody else. And the only team that could beat him was LeBron, and you didn't want that.
No, it took LeBron. It took Kyrie Irving to win. It didn't take LeBron. It took Kyrie to, do that. But it's just one of those where I'm glad it wasn't the Pacers. I'm glad it wasn't the Pacers that did it.
Amen,
because I
brother.
think
Amen.
It's a mistake somebody else can make. I wouldn't make it.
Yeah, maybe it won't be a mistake, but I can see it turning out to be a mistake. Just like I saw it turning out to be a mistake in Phoenix, and I saw it turning out to be a mistake everywhere else.
If you're Durant, why wouldn't you go to the Heat? Like, the path to him winning a finals in Houston's way harder than if he did it in the East.
He loves this, man. This is his chance, he believes, to prove that he can take a young team and lead it by himself as the star to the championship. And that's the opportunity that's right in front of him. Make or break.
Great for him. I'm so glad the Pacers don't play that kind of basketball.
With a great coach and a good young core, no excuses, Kevin Durant.
No, there are zero excuses, and the clock is ticking on his career as well. I mean, he's on the back nine. He's playing hole 15, 16 probably right now, where they're in a ton of time left for him to really cement his legacy. He ruined his legacy when he went to the Warriors. Flat out, he ruined what people will think about.
It was a bad move. It was a bad move for him, for the league. It was a bad move. Just like the LeBron teaming with Dwayne Wade, and it just was bad for the whole thing. And I'm glad we're past that era. And we're now going with a team first era, not a big three era.
Well, and like the way the Thunder have done it's awful too. Like, hey, let's trade Paul George for the fucking kitchen sink, the shower, and the, mirror as well. Their return, what the Thunder got back for Paul George is
You thought it was good when we got back.
It was just, I don't even understand the realm of like how that is allowed. It's unfathomable to me because
No one thought Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was going to be this good. You don't know what those picks are going to turn into. And that's why it's allowed.
you got 6 chances. You have 6 chances to make a 1 pick work. I mean,
Yeah,
I just,
and that helps a lot. And Sam Presti's as good as anybody, and I'm not going to say the best because I'm not so sure Kevin Pritchard's not going to about to prove he's the best.
I don't. And it's just kind of like it's just, I'm not going to get into it because it's just bitter Pacers fans. It's not worth it. But it's just,
share it, man. Be
it's
the
just
bitter
like
Pacers fan. We don't
the
care.
way the Thunder were allowed to play basketball this year is like not good for the game.
Ugly.
Like the fact that they're just allowed to, I mean, Caruso and Dort are basically allowed to assault whoever they want, and they don't get away with it. Like they get away.
As you know, Will, I do not condone ref bashing on this podcast, but how can they not? 100 games into the season, see exactly what Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is doing when he's bowling his way to the rim.
Because
it makes no sense.
when you watch the way that this series was officiated, whether like it's just like it felt like there was a directive of like, hey, we kind of want the Thunder to do this. And like the pace,
I don't see that. I just don't, because he got away with it all year. It wasn't just in the finals.
But in the biggest moment when it's just obvious, glaring obvious, and it's just not called.
Come on.
Everybody's watching it and stuff. It's not
in
a
their
good
heads.
visual.
They see it as legal for some reason, and it's bizarre.
It's only legal in the NBA. It's only allowed in the NBA what he's able to do.
Fair criticism.
I mean, Casey Wallace, that video circulated of him.
But there's no conspiracy, Will.
No, I don't think there's a conspiracy, but it's just it's hard to watch and not think that. Like that's the issue with the issue with the NBA has always been the fact that no, there isn't some greater conspiracy. No, the league is not affecting or directing how games are officiated, this, that, and the other. Like that's not happening. The problem is that the NBA constantly lends themselves to that conversation because they don't call and officiate the game the right way. And that is the issue. And if that's not fixed, then you're always going to have these conversations. Of all of the sports, major sports, I would say that the NBA is probably the easiest to rig as far as professional basketball. The officials play such a huge role. The whistle is blown 50 times a game.
They could affect it. They could affect it any way they wanted.
And they do.
The umpire could not get away with it.
They do. And it's one of those where you're not really allowed to critique or bash the officiating at all. Like it's a huge no-no. They kind of are untouchable in a way. They don't do media. Like they don't really have to answer for anything. And I saw it in this, it felt like whenever the Pacers got up big, or the Pacers are on this run, here comes a whistle, it just kills all the momentum. And it's like, it just feels like the officiating is constantly putting themselves in the game, and it just affects the outcome, whether you're like to admit it or not.
Even as a guy who prides himself in saying, look, they're right there. Every time I watch a replay, they got it right. I got it wrong when I initially looked at it. I am always defending the officials. What Gilgeous-Alexander gets away with is hard to defend as a person who is defending officials all the time. It's so bad. It's so obvious what he's doing.
Yeah.
Call it on him or don't call it.
And the sad thing with him is because like he has a bag, like he has game, like there's a reason he averages 33 points a game. Like the dude is uber talented. You see it the way that he's able to split double teams, this, that, and the other. But he is super dependent on getting that separation, or as Doris Burke and Richard Jack, unweighting himself. Whatever the linguistics you want to use to describe it is, it's not basketball. It's called a charge and a push off in every level of basketball except the NBA, and
you got to fix it.
You have to fix it. You have to fix, because if you don't fix it now, this is exactly how it's going to be in 5 years. It's everybody's going to be doing this. This is going to be the thing now.
2 more quick things, Will, before we go, and of course we're going to get to the Florida Panthers. We haven't talked about it since they won it, which is a shame. But number one, and this is real quick, the Reds just won again, beat the Yankees. Still not on the board.
No.
Okay. All right, the next one is Jordan Poole and Zion Williamson are currently on the same NBA team. Go.
It's going to be the same thing it always is. The Pelicans are awful. It doesn't matter who you put. It's just
no
seems
way
like
they can go in the season with those two guys, right?
I mean, no. There seems like there's just no way that that situation is positive for anybody in that organization.
Horrible.
It's mind-numbingly just like tone deaf as to what your organization is. It's
But
one
I
of
do
those
want to say
trades.
this, Will. I want to say
Yep.
this to all the fans of all those teams with horrible front offices. Someday, a guy like Donnie Walsh is going to show up, and he's going to turn your franchise around. And then a guy like Larry Bird is going to show up and keep it great for a long time. And then a guy like Kevin Pritchard is going to show up and lead you to a championship soon. So that can happen pretty quickly. And we've had good basketball here in Indiana. Not great, but good NBA basketball here in Indiana for 30 years, and it's amazing.
They've had stretches. They've been good to great for,
Yeah,
I mean, as long as I've been alive.
22 of 30 years, maybe
They've picked in the lottery maybe
6
3 or
times.
4 times in my
Yeah.
lifetime. I mean, it's been pretty slim. It like
And when I
that.
was growing up, Will, it was so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah.
They were a laughing stock. They almost moved. It was the ABA or the NBA just crapped all over the NBA when they merged and gave them almost no chance to compete initially, except for the team with George Gervin.
hmm
And they even made Dr. J, the Nets trade Dr. J to the 76ers. It was really bad the way
Yeah.
they treated the ABA. But yeah, but since then, since 1987 when they 86 when they drafted Chuck Person, things started going in the right direction.
I think that, like this Pelicans and Wizards trade is one of those, like, who does this help? Like,
Ugh,
nobody got better. Like, it just
nobody got
feels like
better.
trading for the sake of trading. Like, neither one of those teams can leave that trade and be like, wow,
And no one's been
we
worse
got better
to
today.
no one's been worse than the Bullets, who won the championship in 1978 and apparently sold their souls to Satan for that championship. Because has there been a time since then everyone's given a single thought to the Washington Bullets, Wizards, whatever they are?
People liked John Wall a lot,
That's where you hang your hat. That's bad.
but Nene was fun.
Gilbert Arenas got him like to a second round once.
I mean, John Wall wasn't good. It's not like they won anything, but it's
Yeah.
also, he's
And Wizards got to be the worst name in the NBA.
but it could have been
So many options.
limitless in Washington, D.C. You could have
Yeah.
picked basically whatever you wanted, and that's what you chose.
Animals, anything. You got your pick of the litter. You can honor, the
Anything. You
Tuskegee
can do anything.
Airmen. You can honor the Tuskegee Airmen. You could have done all these things that are great about Washington, although most of it sucks. And they chose Wizards. What in the world? That's what I feel the same way about Cleveland's baseball team, which isn't
Yeah.
allowed to be said on our podcast. I feel the same way about the Washington football team. And it has
Yep.
nothing to do with the political correctness of changing it, although that has something to do with it because I love the name Redskins and I love the name Indians. But they had such great options and they went with really shitty ones.
I liked the WFT, like Washington football team. I kind of like the name a little bit.
It's better than the name they have now, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's also.
But Red Tails was perfect because it stays red with like Redskins. It honors the tradition. And Red Tails is a cool bird, and also the Tuskegee Airmen's nickname.
Yes.
And it was made out of Washington, D.C. Oh, just don't even get me started.
I think that you could make the argument that, like, what I don't understand is, like, what was wrong with the Indians as a name?
Nothing.
I mean, like it's literally the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Nothing, but they once had a National League team called the Spiders, and it would have been perfect just to take the Spiders. Would have been so cool.
It's like, I can understand where the caricature of Chief Wahoo was degrading and an issue, but, like, the name in of itself is not anything, like, negative. Like, like I said, it is Bureau of Indian Affairs with the United States government. It is Indian Reservation. It is, like, there's nothing inherently wrong with calling them Indians. I think that Native peoples had an issue with, and tribes and communities had an issue with the Redskins. I don't really think the consensus. I think they had an issue with Chief Wahoo as a logo and a caricature, which I understand.
Yes,
like, I can see where that is offensive and why Redskins is offensive without question. But like,
absolutely.
I don't. Why did Cleveland need to not be the Indians? Change the logo. Like, just change the logo. The Blackhawks have not changed their logo. They have built this.
But they might.
They built this relationship with the tribe that is affiliated with the organization, with Chief Blackhawk. Like, that heritage is passed down. They have they have Native American night and events and stuff, the Indianapolis Indians have not changed their name. That is it's a great name. The Indianapolis Indians is awesome for minor league baseball. There's just nothing inherently wrong with the name. It's the logo and the caricature that people have an issue with. In Redskins, it was time to go. Probably
Sure,
it was
sure.
have been a name to begin with.
Well, but if you knew the backstory, you'd probably change your mind.
If I'll give them Redskins, I'll give people getting rid of that name.
Sure.
I
Yes,
think,
me too.
but it was like the Cleveland fell over the top. And then they chose just an atrocious name. The Guardians is awful.
Let's just stop letting a handful of people dictate what we find offensive, please. That's all I'm saying.
You cannot let the loudest 10% control
That's right.
any room.
Either side.
It can happen.
Either side.
I'm really glad the Blackhawks have not changed their name. I think there's too much history and heritage in the fact that they have a relationship with the tribe. It feels right. I like that the Indianapolis Indians have the blessing of the tribe to have that as their name. Like, I think that those are all good things. I think it's how you foster and how you're able to allow these people to identify with an identity, with a team, with an organization, to feel connected to something that represents them and their heritage. I think that if you do it the right way, it is foundational to what everything is in this country and what you want it to become. But you cannot let people dictate every decision that you do, because you're never going to make everyone happy. It's just not going to happen.
I want to say God bless Fort Wayne North High School and Manual High School and Knox High School, and they all have one thing in common, and that is that they are called the Redskins, and they have not relented. And I want to say God bless them, although I completely understand if they do. I just like people who say, no, we're all right.
That's Ron Cauley changed from the Rebels to the Royals.
It's insane. People are going to disagree with us, and that's okay. As we've said before, this has all been edited. What we said is what we said.
Absolutely.
All right, final one, Will. Can the Panthers win 3 in a row, and how impressed are you that they won 2?
They were inevitable. I've thought it all year. They were inevitable. They were going to win it.
Until you one time tried to tell me that the Capitals were better than they were. And I tried to tell you that was insane.
The Capitals in the regular season for a run there looked really
awfully
good.
But you could tell that was not going to beat the Panthers.
Also, Capitals, good name.
Yes.
Good name.
Great name.
Great name, actually. Great name.
Yes. Part of the reason I'm a fan name.
The Panthers also, Elwood High School's logo. I don't know if it is still now the logo, but at one time those two, the school and the organization shared a logo, which was great.
And if you've ever been to South Florida, you've probably seen a Florida Panther.
Yep. I really think 4 in a row is tough, but this will be if it's 3 in a row, it'll be the 4th straight cup they've been to. That's ridiculous. The amount of physical toll that takes on the body as far as the injuries, the recovery, and whatever. But they just don't seem to slow down. They're a team. They don't care if they're the wild card. They don't care that they're not top 3 in the Atlantic. Let the Maple Leafs, have 105 points. We don't care. We'll play them. We'll beat them. That's how they feel. They're the better team in 7 games. That's been proven to be true. As long as Chucker, Sashi, Seth Jones is now there for a while, Bob, Paul Maurice, as long as that core is intact, Gustav Forsling, another great defenseman, Sam Bennett, Sam Reinhart, Carter Verhaeghe, as long as you've got those 10 guys together in a room playing hockey, I think that they're probably a favorite, and they should be.
How many times in our lifetime, and by the way, I think a non-starter for the term dynasty is 3 championships in a row. You're not a dynasty if you lose a championship. That's my standard. 3 in a row. So there aren't very many in sports history. It's special to me if you're a dynasty. How many in your lifetimes have there been dynasties by that standard? None?
I believe I was born right at the tail end of the Lakers. I believe the Lakers won 3 in a row.
Hockey. None is my guess.
None.
Yeah.
But I think that my rebuttal to that is hockey's a lot harder to have a dynasty than I think the other sports. So I think
it's so incredible.
I think 2 in a row is so rare in the modern NHL that it's a dynasty. They're the best team. They went to the finals.
Many dynasties.
I guess we could say half a dynasty or a 3/4 a dynasty is what they are.
Dynasty if you East, that's for sure.
And this is big if they do win a 3rd, this is the best dynasty of the 20.
Since the Oilers. Yeah, since the Oilers for sure.
So, God, they're fun to watch. They're so good at hockey.
Or
They're as if they're not a dynasty, they're as close to one as they possibly can get. The way that they dominate opponents, the way that it's just very reminiscent of watching the Patriots play football in the NFL, like where you just know, no matter the outcome, like the Panthers are winning. Like, let's just quit fooling ourselves, like they're winning. And I predicted this year, I said it was going to be Panthers in 6, and couldn't have been more right. So
it's got
I
the
wish
best
I was
shot at them next year in the East.
in the East.
Not knowing what's going to happen between now and the start of the season, of course.
Every year you feel like the Hurricanes are an option, but they just can't get over the hump. They just cannot.
Next year might be that year.
Whatever Brind'Amour does with his offensive strategy and his defensive alignments and stuff, I don't know what it is, but they're easy to figure out. I mean, they lost, 13, 14 consecutive, Eastern Conference Final games. I mean, that's atrocious. So they get there and they can't ever get the job done. They're not competitive. I don't know. You feel like the Islanders and Rangers are going to be better than they were with Shesterkin and Ilya there as the goaltender of those two teams respectfully. But is there really a challenger? The Lightning, I feel like an option in state.
That's probably the most likely challenger, I would think. Although you could see other teams being better than the Lightning for sure.
I think the Senators are a team that could potentially be on the rise. What? Yeah, they're better. They're getting better.
The Senators for the Capitals?
I think the Capitals can, but I mean, you kind of saw what happened. I mean, they kind of got run out of the building.
They're not that level. But regular season.
How long can Ovi keep it up, I guess, is the question. Like,
not much longer, you'd think.
I feel like it's starting to run away. If he slows down at all, that team becomes rather...
I sure didn't expect this last season. That's for sure.
His run was very reminiscent of Pujols' chase to 700, of the fact that it felt completely unimaginable when the year began, and then they just do it. And it's you're reminded of what happens when, generational greats, top 5 players in these sports history, what they do when they get their mindset to something. It's just a different level of competition, competitiveness, skill, whatever you want to call it. They're just
someday
different.
You and I will have a discussion about what makes someone above that line and what makes someone below them.
We could talk for an hour, and I'm not sure we'd probably ever come to a consensus, clear-cut answer. It's just
close.
It's just it's such a mirage and combination of things that you don't see. That's why I say a mirage. You cannot see it. It does not exist. It's just somewhere there in their makeup and their thread and their anything you want. It's just different than anyone else. There's a reason that they're even the top 1% of the 1% look at those guys as like they're greats, as that they are so far better than the next guy, the next tier, that it's just not even fair that they play the same sport.
Yeah, I hear you. And there have been some of those. Anthony Richardson says he is healthy. Will, does that give you any more confidence in the Colts heading into the season?
If he's completely healthy and he can win the job, then yeah, it gives me a lot more confidence because I think he's better than Daniel Jones is. It's just, you watch him play and he feels different. He plays different. He looks different. He's just a better athlete than anyone else really on the field when he's out there. I said it last year. The Colts are going to go as far as Anthony Richardson takes them. Last year, he ran him into the ground, finished, second in an awful division, gave away a division that was more than winnable. The division's only going to get harder, but I have faith that if he is right and he plays even to 3/4 of his capability, that they are going to be just fine. They have a really hard schedule, but I think that Ballard finally did the things that Ballard has been told by everybody that he needed to do, and he listened a little bit, and he went out and made some moves and some splash plays. He had a good draft, and you hope that it's enough to put him over the hump.
And this wasn't going to be a question I was going to ask, but who's playing linebacker?
That's the issue. Dad and I have talked about this. That's the problem, is that it's like we had 4 or 5 weaknesses and 3 or 4 of them got.
To be fair, last year we said, yeah, but what about the defensive backfield? And the defensive backfield is pretty good. It was definitely not the Achilles heel of that defense.
The thing with the defensive backfield was that you kind of had a little faith that if they just developed, they were young. It's not like it was, what this linebacking core is. I mean, we're talking about, I know that they've got a second year guy in there they have a lot of confidence in as far as playing to Franklin's right, but you know what Zaire Franklin is at this point. It's not like he's going to all of a sudden turn into like prime Darius Leonard, where he's
C
just
minus. No matter where your best is C minus.
he's D plus to
Yeah,
me is his
Your
best.
best is C minus. That's what I'm saying.
But if there is an Achilles heel to this team, I think I do feel like if I do trust him doing anything, it's building an offensive line. He's actually done that, drafted and developed those guys pretty well. So I think that you have faith that the offensive line, even with Fries and Kelly both walking, that they will be just fine. You hope that it's kind of it's not a work in progress come week one where they have to you got to give them 5-6 weeks to reach their full, and that's obviously with the offensive line with more reps and more games together, the communication, everything gets better, but you want to see him coming and firing in all cylinders week one and not starting off the year 1-4 and then you just have too big of a hole to dig yourself in. Like, they have to be good from the beginning. They need all three phases of the football to complement each other. I think special teams will be better with Matt Gay being gone. I like Spencer Schrader a lot. He should have won that job out of camp last year. If Gay wasn't getting the contract he would have. So there's a lot to like about this Colts team, but there's also a lot to sit and be like, I don't really know if, there's a lot of arguments to be made of that they're not going to be good enough to figure it out, and that they just needed to clean house. And now that you have new management now, like you have a new ownership group, you don't know how they're going to do. I feel like this is going to be a year where you learn as much about the team as you learn about the Irsay sisters and their families and what they bring to the table, what they value as far as an organization between players, coaching staff, or front office. So, this is a big transition time for the Colts franchise and organization, and if it's not right this year, you're talking about a complete overhaul of everything.
Guessing, and this is an educated guess based on the way the winds are blowing, that the reason Ballard and Steichen were both given another year is because they want to start fresh next year with Peyton Manning and whoever he wants to be the coach.
We'll see.
It's all
it'd be great,
but it's just a feeling I have.
Yeah, well, I hope that you're right, because I think it would be great. We'll see if Peyton wants to come back home. I don't know. He seems to like Denver an awful lot, and he likes to seem to like doing media an awful lot to give that up. He
loves Indianapolis too.
He loves it. I know he's got a damn hospital here named after him. I'm well aware of the fact that he loves Indy, but it feels like
team president, there's no reason he can't. Team president doesn't have to be hands-on. He can hire a general manager, but he'll hire who he wants to be his general manager and run the football side of the organization.
We'll see. I think that him and Tom are going to rewrite what quarterbacks can do with their legacy as far as what they're allowed to do by being who they are, their name, their presence, their intelligence about the game.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Peyton being a team president is going to be, and team ownership is going to be, the exact same as what Tom Brady's been doing. And all the news out of Vegas is that he's kind of running the ship a little bit, and they're kind of giving him the reins to do with what he wants with the organization. So, I feel like if you think that Peyton is the type of person Tom Brady is, which we know he is, then you trust that and you like that and you hope that it works out.
But taking over the organization does not mean taking over the day-to-day decisions.
No, it doesn't.
You take advice from a lot of people who you trust, and that's the key to running an organization.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much. This has been a lot of fun. I don't know I haven't even looked at the clock. It's got to be.
That's 11 o'clock.
Oh, we've been going an hour and 15 minutes. Thanks so much for your time, Will.
Yes,
I just let everybody know that we will start having more Colts coverage fairly soon. That's a couple weeks. But if we have any Colts breaking news, will be here. Mike Hutzel will be here. Lots of NFL people in our atmosphere. Yes. But we will have a Colts person and an NFL person pretty soon to bring you the same kind of coverage we've done with the Pacers and the Fever and IndyCar, which is about to get even better. But I don't want to promise anything that I haven't been able to do yet. So